Hi everybody, my name is Sophie Walker and this is Kit Alexander and we're back, aren't we? We missed last week, Kit. It's the first one that we've missed. I'm blaming you. You were working, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I wasn't even really working, to be honest. I had a bit of a lads trip up to Scotland, so we played at Cruden Bay, Newmarket and Montrose as well. Didn't get back until sort of late on the Tuesday. Then I was working after that down with the Euro Pro Tour as well. So just a very busy week. So it's entirely my fault. I apologise. And most of all to you, because I've robbed you of putting out the fact in advance of the tournament. Who was your captain last week? Tell everyone.
I know. I mean, the captain's curse has just, it's vanished. It's a thing of the past. Bert Wiesberger captained him. You've been a bit dismissive of him. I picked him at the Belfry, went for him again last week. Obviously, he was defending champion and walked it. It was a very easy watch on Sunday afternoon. So yeah, absolutely buzzing. It was my first kind of over 400 points. So for one player, which was great. Wasn't as good as Andrew Trott, who actually got 1,584 points. But yeah, it's amazing when you get those double points. I did all right in general. I had quite a solid team. All of them made the cut. I put Olafson in there. Bob Mack was a bit disappointing, wasn't he? But like you've said all along, Kit, if you can get a captain that wins, it doesn't matter about the rest.
It's huge, and that shows like the same. I imagine our teams were relatively similar, but I didn't have Wiesberger. Schwab as captain, another nearly week, top 10, great. But when quite a few people have got the winner as captain, finishing tied 8th as captain just doesn't cut it. Luton as well I had, who was there or thereabouts and didn't quite do it on Sunday. So it just shows the importance of, like you say, getting the captain and getting them winning.
The importance of a player liking a golf course. I mean, he said all week, love this place. And it's the thing in professional golf. Some courses just really suit your eye. And that place certainly does for him. Which moves us on, I think, nicely to this week. So we're at the Porsche European Open. Tell us a bit about what's been going on. Why are we being pushed back, Kit?
Yeah, so it's a little bit complicated, but essentially Germany have introduced new COVID regulations where you can't travel into Germany if you've been in the UK within the previous 10 days because we're on their red list, essentially. So because so many of the tour staff and tour players travelled from the UK to Denmark on the Monday or the Tuesday of last week, they cannot enter Germany until the Thursday or the Friday of this week coming. So therefore, in order to allow them to get into the country and have a tournament on, if the people arrived in Denmark on Tuesday and can't get to Germany on Friday, the earliest you can possibly start is the Saturday. So the European Tour have moved heaven and earth to make sure they can make that happen and get a tournament on. You can't really do Saturday to Tuesday because that's then impinging on the tournament the following week. So they took the decision to then make it 54 holes running Saturday to Monday. So it was basically that or cancel the tournament kind of last minute. And it's great that we've got a tournament on. And as ever through this whole pandemic, the European Tour have done incredibly well to have a tournament most weeks. In fact, pretty much every week, I think, since we resumed, even when there have been sort of spanners thrown into the works, they've managed to come up with a workaround or find another country to go to. So we've got a 54-hole event running from Saturday to Monday, which means you've got a bit longer to pick your team. Right up until Friday on midnight will be the deadline. And it's at Green Eagle, which is just outside Hamburg, a really weirdly named golf resort. I find it a very strange name, Green Eagle, but that's the name of it.
That a lot with the new courses. I've played a lot on tour resort courses that have got Eagle or Albatross in them. It's not very traditional, is it? But I don't think the golf course is it? It's very got lots of water on it.
I think water on 15 holes, I think.
15 holes, is it? Yeah, I was going to say not dissimilar to like the course in Austria, I don't think. And the Challenge Tour in Czech this week, and there's a course in Czech, the Albatross.
That's the Albatross one, isn't it? Yeah.
Very big golf course, purpose built with, as you say, 15 holes of water. So make sure you pack plenty of golf balls, lads.
Yeah.
So it's been there before, hasn't it? It's been there a couple of times. Been there a couple.
Yeah, so we've been there three times previously. Richard McAvoy, Jordan Smith, and who won it last time? Casey, boom. Yeah, I should know that because he's going to be in my team this week. I don't know why that disappeared. It's a hot day. That's what I'm blaming. So it's been there three times. It'll be the longest venue on the European Tour this season, over 7,500 yards. You mentioned it's a bit different. The final 5 holes, or the final 4 holes, it goes par 5, par 5, par 3, par 5. So there's a lot can happen in that closing stretch. There's eagles. There's Bryson DeChambeau had a bit of a disaster up the final hole, I think, if I remember rightly, when Richard McAvoy won it. So there's plenty of volatility there with water and par 5s, 3 of them in the final 4 holes. A lot can go on. The winning scores the previous 3 times it's been there have been 11 under, 13 under, 14 under. Of course, that's over 72 holes. So, you know, you may be looking at something between 8 and 11 under par potentially to win it over 54 holes. And with it being long, there's a lot of chat that obviously that's going to suit bombers. If it's the longest course that they're playing all year on tour, surely that's a bomber's paradise. And there is that narrative out there. Mm-hmm. I'm actually going quite hard against that, to be honest. If you look at not only the previous winners, but previous top 10s, it's not bombers at all. It's sort of guys that are good iron players, good wedge players, because it's almost so long and there's so much risk involved that quite a lot of the time players aren't going to be able to go for these par 5s in 2, or they might just go, do you know what, let's trust the wedge game a bit. So I think the narrative that a lot of people are going heavy on the bombers and the long hitters this week, I'm not so in favour of that, to be perfectly honest.
You think then, you know, I have that thing. Is it a bit like Le Golf National in the sense that there's that much water there that you know keeping it in play is the priority. So might be worth people looking at players that have done well around that type of golf course. So Kit, who are you picking this week?
Straight in, Casey, defending champion from a couple of years ago, obviously coming off of the good result at the USPGA just a couple of weeks ago. So coming over to this kind of field, also because he's coming in from America, he can get there quite a bit earlier than most of the other players probably can. So he can see it a bit more and have more of a practice. Bernd Wiesberger, who won last week, I'm going to put him in as well. His brilliant iron play was a feature of one of the reasons he won and why he does so well at that Himmerland track. And I think that's important here as well at Green Eagle. Abraham Ancer, interestingly, the Mexican who normally plays on the PGA Tour, coming over to play in this. He just so happens to drive a Porsche. It may be a coincidence, who knows? But he's making a trip over to the European Tour, an event sponsored by Porsche, and that happens to be his car. An interesting one for him to play, especially with how this has now changed in terms of the timing of it as well. But I think he's got to be a force. He's been playing really, really well all season. And then the other definite one in for me was Matthias Schwab. I had him captain last week. Again, it was one of those nearly weeks. He's had 5 top 10s on the European Tour this season. All that's missing is that win. And he's had a runner-up here last time in 2019. And he was 7th the year before that as well. So he's obviously got an affinity with the track. He's in good form. They're my 4 absolute stonewall definites. I'm just putting it will be Casey as captain as well. I'm going safe and obvious, defending champion off the back of a great finish in a major.
I think Ancer's a good one. When I've looked down, you know, in the app you can do popularity. Ancer's nowhere to be seen because not many people realise he's even available in the European Tour. He came, what did he come 14th at the PGA last week? Sorry, on the PGA Tour. He top 10 at the PGA. I mean, we're talking about iron players. He's renowned for how good he is with the iron. So obviously, everyone's going to be watching this video, Kit. But the ones that aren't are going to miss out on Abe just because nobody realises that he's in the field. You've pretty much covered my team. I'm not going to lie. I've stuck in Sam Horsfield, somebody that I've backed from as soon as he teed it up in Kenya. He's got one of the best stroke averages on tour. Really playing just fantastic golf at the moment. If you're talking ball strikers, not many better than him. So he's going in. Ollison is as well because of his records around these types of golf courses. He's decent around the Golf National. I feel like he is, I mean, he's on the comeback, isn't he? He's such a talented young player. And I'm pleased that he's getting back out there. Obviously, he went into the wilderness because of his misdemeanor, but his talent has never faded. He's going in my team. Have you got any ones that people might have thought, oh, hang on a minute? I mean, a lot of people put Richard Bland in last week, which it was one of them that no one knew if he was going to carry on. But obviously, he was hitting it so well tee to green at the Belfry that you're not going to lose that in a week. So he's one I think a lot of people will put back in. Adrian Mermonk is, I think, well worth putting in the Polish lad. He's someone to consider. He's been playing so consistently this year on tour. Let's just see how many people have picked him in the game. Yeah, 61%.
Just to say that, I'm not 100% sure Richard Bland is playing this week. I think he might be taking the week off. But you meant, so the four that I said before, Horsfield as well is in my team as the fifth, and the sixth one I've gone for is Joost Luiten. Had three top 12.
You like him, don't you?
He's been very solid this season. Yeah, he's 13th in stroke average, second in bogey avoidance. He hits a lot of greens in regulation as well, which sort of speaks to his accuracy and his strategic game, and he's not a bomber. But I think this week the test will suit him. I was pleased to see the 15th place finish last week. That was encouraging, bearing in mind it was his first start in 4 weeks. He'd had the withdrawal the previous event in Tenerife, but then he'd had the 3 top 12s prior to that. So the 15th last week just showed me there wasn't too much rust there, and he's hopefully sort of picking up where he left off in that encouraging run. So they're my 6 that finally made it. Looking a bit beyond that, I really like Laurie Cantor this week. He's kind of trending. His last 4 events have all been gradually better and improving finishes. 8th last week, a nice finish. He's an absolute striper of a golf ball as well, hits it so well. He has got a lot of length, if that does prove to be an advantage this week, but he's also a decent ball striker, a decent iron player into the greens. He should give himself lots of chances. We saw him contend a lot last year after the resumption, really take his game to the next level. This feels like a course that will suit him. He's probably would be 7th or 8th in my picks, hasn't quite made the team, but I think you could probably get some nice, healthy odds on him as well. Another player like Cantor, who I know from his Euro Pro Tour days, is Jordan Smith. He got his maiden European Tour victory in this tournament at this course a few years ago. Again, coming into form at a really nice time. His first top 3 in a couple of years last week. Obviously likes the venue here, coming into form with a bit of confidence. Englishmen have traditionally done well around this course as well. Those 3 winners that we've mentioned, they're all Englishmen. So Cantor and Smith would be right there for me. Another name just to chuck in, who I sort of did look at but didn't quite make it, would be Kalle Samoya as well. He's someone we've mentioned a few times and have picked a few times. Again, just a really good, turned himself into a really good European Tour player now. And probably the win is the next thing on his radar. He's someone that I would be also looking at.
Yeah, I think going down the list of people that have been picked, like Abraham Answer has got less than 10% of picks. He's the highest player world ranking in the field, world ranking of 17. Okay, then you got Casey at 21, Wiesberger at 50, and then you start pushing the hundreds and you go outside the top 100 very quickly. So just, you've got to put Abe in because of his sheer quality. Kitayama's kind of floating around again, isn't he? He's somebody that will always do quite well in these events. But there's a few big names playing, isn't there? There's Keimer, it's Stenson playing. And Jason Shrivner's back from his good result. He had one good result earlier in the year, didn't he? Was he second in the desert? He's finding his way into people's team. But my surprise of the popularity is Rasmus Højgaard. Now, he's playing well, is he?
Controversially, last week I went Nicolai Højgaard over Rasmus. And well, not controversially, because the form, Nicolai's simply playing better golf at the moment. Obviously, Rasmus has got the wins already. But it was Nicolai who first made noise on the European Tour, finishing second to Sergio Garcia in the KLM Open a couple of years ago. And all the way through, they've both been touted as very similar levels of talent. So while Rasmus has made the early noise, the fact that Nikolai is coming into a bit of form, he's one you definitely want to be keeping an eye on. I think you'd get good odds on him in the markets as well, if you're looking for a little bet. But yeah, I'd go Nikolai over Rasmus just at the moment because of the form.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Sorry, I'm just looking at my sunburn. I've been out playing Old Woodley golf course today, and I am quite burnt.
You don't look as red as me, but I think it's just because in my living room it's so hot at the moment. Our back garden's at about 40 degrees, so
yeah, it's nice to get the sun back, isn't it? So we're looking at a Friday start. Yeah.
Saturday start. So
Saturday
pick
start.
your team by Friday
I need
midnight.
to know this.
Saturday
I'm working in Sweden next week, but hopefully I'm going to have so much research for next week that I'm just going to blow you all away with my amount of info. But yeah, just look out for that because it'll throw people. But you can get your team in as early as you like. Teams are open now. Myself and Kit have already written our articles to look for more in-depth knowledge. But the type of golfer we're looking at this week is good wedge player, strategic, good player, because if you're looking at the scores, they're not super low. 11, 12 under winning for a 72-hole event when you think Wiesberger was 21 last week. So somebody of a Paul Casey is your ideal for this. Obviously, he's a past winner. But then looking down the list, that type of player, you want to be 70% fairway, greens in regulation. That's the start that I've been looking at.
Yeah, and perhaps even someone who's a little bit on more the aggressive side, which again speaks to Sam Horsfield for me because it is that 54 holes instead of the 72. Okay, it's only one round less, but players will go out there with slightly more of an aggressive mindset, I think, because there's that one round less. And aggressive players and someone like Sam Horsfield who could just go out, one really low round has a little bit more greater value over 54 holes than it does over 72 holes. So if there's any guys that you think, well, you know what, maybe they struggle to put 4 rounds together over the course of a tournament, but I do really like them, perhaps this is the week just to have a little bit of a chance and a dabble on a really aggressive player and someone who you think's there, but doesn't maybe quite have the consistency over the 4 rounds.
Exactly. And this won't have the normal tournament week feel to it because of when it starts, how short it is. So somebody that has done well on challenge tours or Euro Pro tours, that type of player might feel a bit more comfortable in this situation. There's a definite feeling in a player's head. Like I've known it trying to make cuts. Friday, you hate Fridays. And suddenly Friday's not a bad day anymore. So that's going to be a really interesting mindset on the players. But I think our teams are pretty. I think many teams will be similar to ours this week, Kit. Maybe four out of the 5 will be the same. Captain is key. You'll be a brave man not to pick Casey. But if you don't, you could see some value elsewhere. I was speaking to Richard Kaufman on Sunday, and he had Shane Lowry as captain on the PGA Championship and really gained quite a lot of points. So if you are brave, you could pick up points over everybody else. So
you go in Casey this week?
I probably am for safety. But I like Abe. Abe got in my team for the PGA, But I don't know what. I like Casey. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a Ryder Cup stalwart, and he's on. When Casey turns up, he turns up to win, doesn't he? He's not one of those, I'll just take my appearance money type of guys. He just comes up and always plays quite well. So that's why I'm going for Casey.
Right there with you on him.
I'm going to let you get back to the barbecue, Kit. I am going to wipe off all this suntan lotion. And thanks everybody for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment below. I think this is a big week for captaincy. Are you going to play safe or are you going to go with somebody a bit different?